the One Big Beautiful Bill delivers the largest tax cut for working and middle-class Americans in history. And you might say, well, how does it do that? And the way that it does that is that if we did not pass this bill, if we do not get this bill successfully passed next January 1st, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions that were put in place in 2017 will expire, and taxes will revert to the rates that existed prior to that, and that will lead to 22 to 25% tax increase for the typical American. And so by passing this bill, we prevent that from happening and in turn create the largest tax cut in American history. But it goes further than that. Certainly we've figured out those measures for Tennesseans. Just in the 6th District, 99,000 families will see their household child tax credit cut in half if we don't get this done. And 58,000 small businesses would see their effective tax rate go from 20% to 43.4%. And then, something near and dear to my heart, and it relates back to what we were talking about earlier with our Century Farms, over 10,000 family-owned farms in Tennessee would have their death tax exemption cut in half. And you might say, well, why does that matter? It matters because, of course, those farms owned by farm families, they've paid taxes on the money that they've made through the years, but then, the senior member of the family passes away and they have to pass the farm down to the next generation. If that, if their heirs have to pay a huge, inheritance tax, sometimes as much as 55%, most people they can't reach into their pocket and pull out that kind of money. So what are they going to do? They're going to sell the family farm to pay the taxes for the inheritances that they've received. And so that's why this bill is so important in terms of how it impacts Tennesseans. But it goes further than that. So one of the things that I think we're all excited about is President Trump ran on the promise to cut taxes on tips, to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime. And the One Big Beautiful Bill does exactly that. And so consider how that's going to help working Americans. Sometimes the people who work the hardest, who struggle to get by, the waiter or waitress that waits on you, now not going to have to pay taxes on the tips that they earn, which is a huge incentive not only for them to work hard, but, that they get to keep that money and use it to create a better life for themselves. And then think about no tax on overtime. And think about first of all, it's just a great reward for working Americans who get off the couch every day and go out of the home and go to work and produce and create economic activity with their efforts. And this will give them a big incentive to step up and work hard. Americans already work hard. Our blue-collar workers all across the state should be rewarded, and this will do that. And it will ultimately, I believe, incentivize greater productivity, because I think Americans will be incentivized to work, a few extra hours because they'll get to keep all that money. And so that's an exciting element of this. And then tax cuts or tax relief for seniors is a part of this as well. The equivalent of eliminating the tax penalty on retirees who are drawing Social Security, and so a lot to be championed in this bill, and that's just on the economic side of the equation. There are many other things about the bill